Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hadeen, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Mesa, Arizona. With me this week is Steve Keough of SLQK Enterprises with over 35 years in the construction industries. And also underneath that umbrella is electriciansgetleads.com, which is where he essentially runs a coaching business for electricians, helps them grow their businesses, manage them more effectively. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. And you know what? I'm sure all of the electricians he talks to, guys, I know we're all floor guys and we just despise electricians because they never clean up after themselves and leave their wire clippings. I know as part of the plan he's given these guys, he's telling them that they got to sweep up after themselves. Okay. So that's happening. I promise. But essentially, Electricians Get Leads has 5 staff members. He's grown it to 1.2 million in revenue, and it's continuing to pick up steam. It's been around for 22 years, and it didn't come easy. It didn't happen overnight, and nothing is going to, right? We all have these businesses, and we go from tradesperson to business owner by filling out some paperwork. Maybe you're running sole prop. I don't recommend it. Don't do that. Go get an LLC. Protect yourself just a smidge. But I know how to do this thing. Let me go sell a floor, a shower, a electrical job, a whatever. And then I'm going to deliver on the promise. I'm going to receive a chunk of money, and I'm going to rinse and repeat. I'm going to do that over and over again. That might get you to an employee, a couple of employees, maybe a couple crews. Beyond that, where's your culture coming from? Who's developing that? How are you managing the money? Who's handling HR complaints? What are your goals? Where's the company going? How are we managing money? How are we making sure we're efficient to actually keep profit? All these other things start coming into play as you grow. The minute you fill out that paperwork and you say, I want to be a business owner, the last thing you are is the tradesperson. You became a salesperson overnight. The minute, not even overnight, in an instant, you became a salesperson. That's the most important thing because your company doesn't exist without sales. And then now you're figuring out how to do scheduling and marketing and advertising and 8,000 other things. You already know how to do the trade. It's the least important thing in this equation, at least from my perspective. Not that it's not important. It matters. That's how you're selling, but that's not your identity anymore. You became a business owner. Let's act like it. And that's where Floor Academy podcast comes in. Every week, we're having these discussions so that you can go from tradesperson to business owner, hopefully with an asset that's worth something that you can step away from, regain time with your family, which is actually why you started your business, because you were sick of slaving away for someone else. But let's take the little things from all of these conversations and start implementing 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. If you can work on the business instead of just in it doing the trade, you're going to change your life. It's not going to be overnight. Ask Steve. He'll tell you. We're going to get to it in a minute. Guaranteed. Didn't happen overnight. It took sacrifice and mistakes and the ability to admit that you don't know it all and you need some help here and there. That's enough out of me. We'll hear from our wonderful sponsors a little bit later throughout the show. Steve, who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it?
Well, first, Kyle, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity, and I hope that your audience appreciates somebody like yourself whose vision and mission is to help them, specifically the Floor Academy folks, because not everybody's doing that. And I commend you for that. I love the vision. I love the mission. So,
thank you.
I've got tagged with the nickname Strategist Steve, simply because, at a high level, I want to make sure that tradespeople have a master plan, so to speak. But I've done that throughout my career as Coach Steve. I'm a master certified business coach. That's a big long-winded statement for I've got more than 10,000 hours of coaching. I'm actually approaching 40,000 hours of coaching. I'm the number 10 master business coach, certified coach in the world. And way back in 1993, there are about 1,000 of those now. I've coached over 975 different CEOs over the years with various different types of trade-related businesses. I'm a multiple book author. I kind of liked writing. I'm a bit of a nerd that way. I've spoken from stages for about 8 years. including some of the associations. Um, I used to work many years ago for Peak Potentials Training, a guy named T. Harv Ecker. I was his international director of coaching. So that was a fun job for a little bit. And now it's electriciansgetleads.com, which is a full blown marketing agency to help electricians who their biggest challenge is maybe the floor people as well. They don't have any time. They're
Hmm.
in the success trap where their business is working, but when do you spend time to market? Okay, well, then there's the dichotomy of how do you grow? The only way to grow is market and sell, as you pointed out earlier, Kyle, but there's no time. So
Yep.
what we do is we offer different packages for them, to be part of our marketing agency. And I think some of it cross relates, and hopefully I can help your people with our time today.
Oh, I believe it. It look, business is its own language, and it's sadly, it's business is a language of numbers, and I know that tradespeople understand numbers. Whether you're an electrician dealing with, we mentioned ohms earlier as you and I talked, or you're reading a tape
Yeah.
measure and you got to figure a layout out. Look, you guys get numbers. You're just intimidated by a P&L and a budget sheet because you've never seen them before and no one's ever taught you about them. It's simple math. It's not complicated. It's addition and subtraction. And once you understand that, you can turn it into any number of things. And I think that's where the trap lies, is that a lot of people think that back end stuff is so complicated. And it's not. Look, I can get my 5-year-old doing, basic addition and subtraction. So we can figure that one out. But then the lead stuff, look, you figure out a system for one sector, you change the messaging, it's probably going to
Yeah,
work for another sector.
absolutely.
So I love it. So let's talk, man. You were a guy. You were in the field. You were out and about putting wires in and hooking stuff up and all of that. So that's where it started. And how did that company kind of come together and end? And you moved on from it and realized, like, okay, other people need help to figure this out.
Yeah, so I mean, it started for me actually back in high school, believe it or not, when I was an electrical apprentice for my brother. My brother Jake is 10 years older than me. I worked for him as his unpaid apprentice. Ugh, right, family. But it led me into the career. In 7.5 years, I operated as an entrepreneur. 1 year on my own, and then the last 6.5 with his business. And our main goal was to sell it. You start a business, you have to have a good exit strategy before you're too far into it. Otherwise, you just forget about it, and 25 years will go by. So 7.5 years in, we sold it for about $1 million, slightly over $1 million. And we were doing okay back then. I think it was like maybe 2000 ish. So half mil was probably worth then what 2 mil is today. But I enjoyed what I was doing, and I
Mm-hmm.
loved the electricians. I love the people. I'm sort of one of them. I feel like my clients are my people. They're the ones I'm supposed to be helping and be with, as opposed to being a generalist as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I have sort of that unique combination of, because I was an electrician, I understand the nuts and bolts of day-to-day jobs and billing hours and doing projects and watching safety. Where it started getting complicated for my brother and I was we didn't know how to do any marketing back then, even though we were able to sell it. I was the one that was sort of tasked with marketing. I have a little
Okay.
bit more technical background than my brother. And so we decided it was going to be me. And at the time, it was like, oh my gosh, please no. It took me about 10 years to understand everything relating to marketing. But, Kyle, that's what I found I've been able to help people with, is to just understand that. You referred to the numbers in fifth grade math. It's true. We can make templates for everything for our clients. You too. I'm sure you have them. But what you can't do is give them the 9.5, 10 years of education relative to marketing that it took me to become an expert. So what I did,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure you do similar, I packaged it and I just offer it. So I have that unique combo of being a master certified coach, but really also understanding deeply electricians and the electrical space. I don't
It's
know if that helps. Does that answer it?
I look, we're building on things, right? That's what it comes down to. So actually, before I got into flooring, I had gone to film school and I worked in reality television, and I
Oh,
actually just did a webinar on storytelling that I've put out. You guys can go look on the YouTube for Floor Academy and find storytelling basics for advertising, and that's no, you can't download somebody on 10 years of knowledge in marketing, but you can start giving them little nuggets. And I'm not an expert at marketing. I would never claim to be. I have an understanding that helped me grow my business on the flooring side to where it was at. And that, that's something that a lot of people are missing, is they just don't even understand how to tell a story and engage an audience. And a lot of, marketing for
so true.
contractors is, I do thing, call me, phone number, great ad. Just you knocked it out the park, guys. Or sale, overstock, buy material, Sunday. Cool. Great offer, right? I get enough garbage like that in my life. It goes right over my head. I've ignored it, right? What's this thing? When you can solve somebody's problem, which is what we do in business, is
Yes.
you have to put how you solve a problem. So engage in a story that tells how you solve someone's problem. In the electrical world, we talked about a hot tub went off air, right? So,
Yes.
okay, you have
Yes.
this thing and it's broken. I can come and fix it. And then you're going to be able to sit in your hot tub at night and relax, and your muscles are going to feel better. And you can have that glass of wine with your iPad. Paint the picture, people. Like, why does this lady want her hot tub working again? Paint the pretty picture. With the shower, why does she want to be able to sit in the bathtub away from the kids? Give her that European wet room, curbless shower, have her in that tub. Paint the picture for her. Make it beautiful. She's going to say, oh my God, I need that in my life. Not, I do showers, call me.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
No,
So,
stories sell, that's for sure.
and so I think that's like, okay, if we're going to teach basics of marketing, that's where it comes from. But even as part of this picture, right, that's just one teensy piece of
Yeah.
a business. And so are you helping in other areas besides just doing this marketing package for them, and helping really, guide, getting set up and how to manage people, and let's get employee handbooks and job descriptions, and are you
Yeah.
going through all of that stuff with them as well?
Yeah, we sure do. I mean, we break a business into two sections. One we'll call front end of the house, which
Mm-hmm.
is marketing and sales, and the other is back end of the house, which is operations and finance. So, we talked off air about I like to have people be brilliant at the basics. I mean, if you can do each of these facets really, really well, as you mentioned earlier, Kyle, it compounds upon itself to build up. You don't just attack this in one shot and you're done. It's an ongoing evolution of the business from, maybe where you are now, call it point A for your guests. And then you've got to decide, what do you want your destination to look like? If you want to make $1 million, the business runs completely different on the front end and on the back end when you're making $1 million versus 300,000, 400,000,
Oh yeah.
which is respectable. But until your business has significance, the final step, a million or more, 2 mil, 5 mil, whatever it is, you've got challenges, right? So we break them down into front end and back end, and then marketing and sales. Those two are very important, because if you don't master those or get at least really good at those, then there is no back end. There is no operation. There's less finance, right? You don't have balance in life. It's amazing how electricians really don't realize the average revenue one electrician bills and one electrician has for personal income. So they have nothing, no target, nothing to strive at. So sometimes we just identify, it's got to look like this. You should be doing this. And then they're like, aha, and they want to do it. And they're
Mm-hmm.
capable to do it as well.
Yes, I think that's
So be brilliant at the basics.
I think that's a common contractor problem. Essentially, what you're saying is people think that your top line gross revenue is not your net pay or your net profit. And you can't you can't lose yourself in this equation.
No.
You have to actually understand, just because the company did 750,000, you didn't make 750,000. What did you keep? Because if you kept 50,000, dude, what's the point? You can scale back to
You probably
300.
made 210.
You could scale it back to 300,000 and make 100,000 by yourself. Like, you're losing money, right? So you gotta be able to understand these numbers and these operations and how things take place and the little steps we have to go. And you also pointed out that jumping over that $1 million mark, I'm working with a company now that they've run like 750, 780 the past 2 years. And this year they should go over that $1 million mark, and he's losing his mind. And it's because the way a company has to operate over $1 million is significantly different from how it operates under $1 million. You can kind of still manage things yourself and do these things. So how often are you finding that people have to go back and revamp? Like, they think they've got, you get it running smooth, right? It's 600,000 and you're like, okay, this person does this, that person does this. Everyone's calling in with these things, and right, everything's, all your ducks are in a row. And then you decide, okay, well, we're getting more calls. We can add a crew member. And the whole thing, the whole ship falls apart. Is that pretty common?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, there are different stages. I will tell you this, your audience, this. Once you gross $1 million the first time in your business, the second million is actually very easy compared to the slog to get to that first million. The first million is really, really hard. But the second million, you're basically, particularly with our system, you're just doing the same things more routinely, which adds that next million quicker. Now, there's stages, like anybody beneath 500,000 in gross revenue, there are so many things that are difficult. It's almost like the system is rigged and stacked against them. Then at about, as you said, 750, that's another place where it gets a little bit more complicated because there's different levels again. And then, over the mill, I find it to be easier. Now, the math that we use to get there is probably similar to your clients as number of trucks. And, the only reason to have the truck is because the guy driving it is a freaking electrician who makes money. So if you take the standard 156, which is about the revenue that an average electrician in the U.S. Generates, according to the U.S. Department of Labor, to get to $1 million, you're going to need 7 trucks. So math like that, Kyle, helps us understand it and progress along the way. Does that make sense?
Sure does. Guys, flooring wise, I think the average 2-man crew should be able to do about 500,000 a year, but that's if you're selling materials. Okay, material sales included. A 2-man crew can do about $500,000. So you'd need 2 trucks in this equation if you're selling materials. If you're not selling materials, then I would say you're probably 3 crews, 4 if one of them's kind of light. So maybe like 3 and a sub would get you there. Go ahead. Continue, please. I want to be able to explain it in like terms.
Also, Kyle, that's the average in the U.S. I think it's a little bit low. Most of the guys are earning probably 300. Yeah, most of the guys are earning 300. The really good ones are earning 400,000 as an individual plus products. We don't include that either. But if you're going to do math and make templates for people, you got to go with the averages, right? You can't just make up numbers of your own, right? So Correct. We rely heavily on U.S. Department of Labor for the average revenue per electrician at 156, and then the average income per electrician at 114,000. You're making 114,000, you're doing okay, but not $1 million.
No, but you can get there. That's the thing, right? It's going to take, if you can find a way to have 7 guys working for you, you still make that 100,000, you're doing pretty good. And then it's I think a lot of business owners get frustrated as they scale the business because other people start making more money and they're having to invest back into the business and the profits aren't as high. And they're like, I'm doing so much more, but I make less. However, again, we talked about these levels, right? And if you can get over that $1 million mark, your net profit should start multiplying at that point to where you start seeing a bigger return back to you. But there is a dead spot where you might be at 3, 4, 5, 6 trucks on the road and you're like, I just keep putting in and I'm not getting anything more and I'm not getting anything more. You get past that hump of frustration and it scales much faster on the other side of it in your favor.
Yeah.
Steve, so
Yeah, for us, the
good.
electricians, it's 3 or 4 trucks. Is that dead spot?
Yeah, I would. I think flooring's pretty much the same. You kind of that 3, 4, 5 crew mark.
Yeah,
It
it's
can
very
really
similar.
get you stuck where you're adding the revenue, but it all kind of goes out the window as you're learning how to run them efficiently and paying for maintenance and doing all this stuff. And a lot of companies,
Yeah,
flooring's big on subcontracting. So a lot of these companies they do better because everything's technically out of house. And so it falls on somebody else to have to cover all those bills, which means they just collect
yeah.
20%,
I
right?
mean,
Hey, here's 70 to 80% of the job. I'm going to keep this, and everything falls on you. It's an interesting dynamic because I don't know any. I'm pretty sure that electricians don't have a
yeah, and
workroom they go
I
to and
think
get work orders handed to them.
the big difference is you have 2 per truck.
Mm-hmm. That too. That the average crew is going to be 2 guys. There's a lot of people that do it by themselves, but yeah, when you have 2 people to
Yeah.
pay, that puts a dent in it as well. So Steve, what kind of little things do we need to look at as we're trying to grow this business and scale it up? What kind of systems do we need to put in place to make sure that we're not? I know companies that grow big, they make money on accident, and then they end up having to go completely backwards and trying to get a company of 20 people on board or 100 people on board with systems and processes that should have been there from a small size is a lot more difficult. So is there anything where these guys should be really aware of, okay, it's just me right now, or I've got 3 to, oh, we lost him, folks. We'll see if he comes back. I don't know what to tell y'all. I'm not that entertaining if I don't have a guest. Go check out my deal on YouTube with the storytelling. I'm telling you, it's really going to help everyone do some marketing and advertising. Just learning how to tell a story and communicate with your audience is super going to help. It's going to make a very big difference in how you come across to your audience and reach them organically on Facebook or through Instagram or wherever you're posting your stuff. I mean, we're talking about the tools. If you're struggling to run your numbers, head on over to flooracademypod.com, click on that file section, and go click on the business budgeting worksheet. Go download that file. It's a spreadsheet. There's also a video on YouTube that's called How Much Should I Charge? And you can run the numbers in the spreadsheet. And as a small crew, it's going to help you learn what you need to be charging per day, per hour if you do some job costing and time studies. But essentially, it's going to keep track of all of your, you put in all of your costs. And it's going to let you see, how often you want a new truck, what that truck costs, if you have any trailers, tools, if you have to pay for dumpsters, if, what your salary is, how much profit you want to make, all of these things. That business budgeting worksheet goes over it all. It'll change your life. In fact, it changed. There's an episode called I Didn't Know I Was Going Broke. And, he took the spreadsheet, ran the numbers, went and sat down and talked with the owner of the retail store. And he got himself a raise along with, other people at the store. So knowing your numbers is going to empower you to be able to do anything. And Steve is back. So, Steve, we got cut
Yeah.
off there. All good. I ran my mouth. That's what I do. So we made it happen. And
Darn technology.
hey, I get it. What steps are companies missing that you see where a lot of times they're having to go backwards and implement some basic things that may have gotten missed as they tried to scale on their own without help and having mentors and things like that to help them do it more efficiently the first time?
Well, in the spirit of that being brilliant at the basics, what we do with almost every client, it's very rare we wouldn't, is something we call the success formula. And basically, it's creating a vision for the business, making some decisions about what commitments you're actually committed to, not these wishy-washy goals that everybody talks about, and then understanding, what do you want? Why are you playing this business game in the first place? What are the rewards? What do you desire? What will you get for being a business owner, entrepreneur? And then the 1-year plan, almost reverse engineered. Okay, to be at a revenue of $1 million, let's go backward. What is it that you need to do, change, etc., with your front end, marketing and sales, and with your back end, which has to receive all this extra sales, with operations or finance. So once we begin with a client, we back up to, let's create your success formula. And very often, Kyle, I'll ask people, what's the vision for your business? Huh? They mix up mission and vision. Mm-hmm. They're not really sure why they're doing sort of what they're doing, especially if it's generational, multi-generational family business. You're an electrician because your dad was an electrician because his dad was an electrician. But where is the plan?
Yes.
Okay, what exactly are you committed to? Are you a residential electrician? Are you a commercial electrician? Or are you an industrial electrician? Or two of those, or three of those? Because residential, you're dealing with homeowners. Commercial, you're dealing with property managers. And industrial, you're dealing with engineers. These are very different types of people that need very different approaches. And then, some people get excited when they hear about creating commitments for their business and they create 75 commitments. No, that's not going to work. Mm-hmm. We'll limit that in the beginning, year one, to say 10 or maybe 12 commitments. Now, where you can have unlimited things is in what you desire, what your rewards are going to be, what you're going to get out of this being in business. Because look, in a trade, you're working 50, 60, 70 hours sometimes. You're busting your ass. You're sweating like crazy. They're dirty environments a lot of times. Once we nail down that success plan, the success formula, I should say, then we just hold people to that. Often our sessions are about, making them keep their vision in the forefront of their mind and to ask them, what commitment number are you working on? Number 2. Okay. Well, when we coach people, we let them know, I hope this is helpful for your listeners, there are basically 8 things that will solve all problems, and the whole world knows 6 of them. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. People practice that, but what they're not is the 7th and the 8th. How much, like why are you doing this, and how often? How spread are you with your time? I think, I'm guessing, Kyle, that the floor folk, like the electrical folk, live in a time-starved world. Is that true?
Yeah, because a lot of us are owner-operators. So how much time do you have between trying to have a wife and kids and a family and then run around and do estimates, and then you're stuck on the project? And even as you start to scale, okay, well, now I got to manage the projects. I got to go get more. I got to go over here and network. Yeah, it's always time. That's one of the biggest things is, how do I buy back my time? I love the question. Yeah. And I don't think enough people understand how simple it is, because you mentioned who, what, why, when, and how as being the questions that we know kind of to ask. A lot of people ask the wrong question, though. And this is a beautiful thing that I've learned is stop asking how a problem is going to get solved. Ask who is going to solve it, right? When you can stop trying to figure out how, because that's how you are going to do it. You're trying to figure out how I solve the problem. That's the wrong thing to do. Who can solve the problem and go buy your time and move forward, right? Do you need a salesperson? Do you need a front office admin person? Do you need a new electrician or installer on the floor, right? Who is going to do it, as opposed to how is it going to do it? The who knows how. And so you're kind of hitting 2 at once. But yeah, I think those are all great questions to look at. And then you're talking about having a vision and a mission and understanding the difference between them. And I noticed the same thing. Yeah. It's really funny. I don't think this is a contractor problem. I think this is a small business owner problem. Everyone is like, oh, I don't want to be
Correct.
corporate. I don't need these buzzwords and stuff. There's a reason the big guys got big, because
Yeah.
they knew who they were and why they were doing something and where they wanted to go. There's a reason that core values, mission statements, vision statements all exist, and they're effective. And then you have to actually communicate them with your team. Go find a company that's successful, and you will find a company that has communicated with their team, their core values, their mission, their vision, and everyone knows it and is on board and knows the part they play. You just writing them down and tucking them away in a folder that you haven't seen in 10 years. There's a reason you're still stuck with your company where you're at, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's an art and a science to business. Now, I want to let your listeners know I've been in the business game coming up on 40 years. I have never met any individual that's perfectly uh, skilled and talented in both the art and the science part of business. So this is why you ask for help. It's not a poor badge of honor to say, oh my gosh, I got to talk to Kyle or Steve or whoever. We all need somebody, right? It's actually mature and smart as an entrepreneur when you realize you're up against something you can't handle yourself to reach out for help as fast as possible. The only question is who, as Kyle pointed out. Now, Kyle, like me, probably can't help you with everything, but we probably know the people that can. So don't be, embarrassed or feel guilt or shame about needing help. I still need help.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've been doing this, like I said, almost 40 years, and I've got some resources. I've made a lot of money. I'm doing okay, but I still need help. And I wouldn't get to where I've gotten today without that help. So, rely on Kyle or Kyle's recommendations for that.
I want to dig more into that, because I love the saying, hire people to do what you suck at or hate, right? Hire
Mm-hmm.
people to do all the things you hate. Go do what you enjoy. I love it when guys that love installing, that you probably have clients that love being the electrician, but they think they're the one that they have to grow the business and they have to go do the office stuff and they hate it. Why don't you hire the guy that likes that stuff and go be in the field? Now, you're going to have to
Yep.
communicate. You're going to have to know some stuff in order to hold them accountable, but you can still go play in the field 8 hours a day if you want. Hire the guy to grow your business for you. Like, it's possible to do. You don't have to become the office guy. I'm going to interrupt
Yeah.
us, but then I want to dig into that and from your perspective and see kind of, thoughts and how, if you have anyone that's ever done that. If you're looking for
Sure.
the perfect waterproofing solution for tile installations, look no further than Johns Manville Go Board. It's time to say goodbye to worries of moisture and hello to durable, easy to install tile backer. Go Board is engineered to withstand tough environments, providing excellent waterproofing protection. Whether it's your bathroom, kitchen, or any other wet area, Go Board has got you covered. Don't compromise on quality. Choose JM Go Board for the ultimate waterproofing peace of mind. Head into your distributor and ask for Go Board or visit one of their suppliers. If you want more info, visit www.jm.com/GoBoard. All right, Steve, tell me about it. Like, I'm sure you've got to be experiencing kind of the same thing, same problems, but have you seen anybody that was like, no, I just want to play in the field. Like, how do I do this?
Well, Kyle, this is why that $1 million revenue mark at minimum, where your company has significance, is so important because then you have resources. In my organization, we do multi-millions. I don't do anything I don't want to do anymore. I have all the correct people in place. My chief operating officer's name is Sunday. I called him this morning. He said, hey, I'm not coming in today. I want to do a podcast from home. That's it. I do what I want to do now. But
Mm-hmm.
guys and gals, you have to have the resources to be able to do that. This is why getting to the $1 million mark is so important. All the restrictions that you're feeling because, as an entrepreneur, you feel like the game is rigged. I'm busting my butt. Why isn't it getting any better? It all is true. Your suspicions were right. And look, if you go to the banks for loans, I wouldn't recommend that. But if you do, if you thought that the banks and the government were going to help you, Well, then they would offer training for free that makes you a better entrepreneur. But they don't, because they want you trapped right where they can hold you. No, the reason to become a $1 million company or better is to gain your freedom and independence back. Stop being controlled by the rigged game of the bank and the government, and do what you want to do. This is exactly why we back up to the success formula. What is the vision for you as the entrepreneur owner in your business? And then we're back to, Kyle, where do they get the help? So just call Kyle.
I'll plug the mastermind groups, man. Look, I've spent so much time interviewing people, going to the different trade shows. I have a lot of conversations, folks. If you got a problem, seriously, call me. Like, this is what I've discovered, like, I can do is I can connect people. Don't spend the time doing it. Just call me. I will help find you the person that you need, or has a solution, or is using a system you're interested in. I have way too much weird facts in my head. I want to share them. I want to help you. I really, truly do. Like, I want everyone to succeed, and I want you to realize that you're not an installer, that you're a business owner, and let's run it like a business owner. And you have to, it takes people like Steve will tell you, because we're going to ask him, right? Like, there's a reason the saying iron sharpens iron exists still. And we still use it. If you want to hang around by yourself and you're going to internalize everything, you're never going to process stuff correctly to be able to move your business anywhere, because you're only throwing out the ideas to yourself. And guess what? You're your favorite person. So you probably think everything's a great idea. And you're going to waste a lot of time because someone's not there to be like, that sounds really dumb. Or, hey, that's great. Why don't we get this thing in place so that we have the money to fund that idea?
Yeah, and I would add to that, Kyle, the reason that people, and I was one too, think you have to do everything yourself, it really isn't true, because it's simply a resource problem. Again, you get over the $1 million in revenue. Now you have the resources that you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. The challenge when you're starting comes from, when you are beginning and you get to maybe 600,000-ish, somewhere in there, you have to ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing. And the underlying reason is very frequently your self-confidence about being an entrepreneur is lower than it should be. Your self-respect to think you can make $1 million is lower than it should be. And those two combined will make your self-esteem low as well. Now, if you can improve by doing the selling first to increase your self-confidence, increase your self-respect, and increase your self-esteem, that'll happen automatically. Then you have the resources. Now you're happier. You make the choices you make. As I did today, Sunday, not coming in today.
Which is a beautiful thing.
Resources.
How long did that take to be able to make that phone call? Steve, how many years did it take you to be able to make that phone call?
Steve, 10. At times I still can't. It's a vacillating thing, right? I mean, the more successful you are in business for entrepreneurs, then the more bold you are, the more risks that you'll take, because you don't worry about the impacts, right? You already know that what you're operating in business is stable. And so if you upset somebody, okay, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Or if somebody upsets you, I'm like a duck. I don't care about anything anymore. It rolls right off the back because it doesn't affect me because of where I've placed myself. And, I've been blessed that way. So I don't know if that is the exact answer, but, it ebbs and flows with the success as an entrepreneur.
Well, I'm sure there's seasons, right? We're going to get something again. There's companies, and you hit a spot, and you don't know what to do, and then you kind of get everything lined up, and you're running smooth again, and you're like, okay, and then you hit that next little plateau, and that next little plateau, and there's going to be seasons in it, folks, and you're going to be able to ignore things sometimes, but if you don't take the time,
well, go
ahead.
Yeah, it's difficult to run a business when you're doing peaks and valleys, because When you're in the valley, you have no money, no resource. When you're at the peak, you have money and resources. Choppy. It's better to have something predictable and consistent
Mm-hmm.
that you can manage. This, again, sorry to repeat myself, goes back to the success formula. What are you committed to?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's committed to peaks and valleys. My God, that'll drive you out of your mind. But if you're committed to consistent growth, what makes that up? It's mostly marketing, and then your ability as a floor engineer to go on site and sell a job, whether residential, commercial, or whatever your variables are. You've got to be able to have some technique to go out and close the deal.
And I think that's exactly it. Is there's a lot of guys and gals that start, and it's the trap of the beginning. When you're doing everything, you get so busy you stop trying to advertise and market and find new projects, and then you get caught up on work and you're like, the phone's not ringing, why did it stop, what do I do now? And then you put all your effort into marketing and advertising again, and you build up a 12-week backlog of work, and then you're like, oh, I'm overwhelmed, I can't do it, shit, what am I gonna do? And you get through that, and you stopped marketing and advertising again. Like, you can't stop that part of it, because that's how you generate the business. You can either find a way to bring on an apprentice, you can find a way to manage it more effectively and start, if you want to. I was charging for estimates and I don't call them estimates. It's a consultation, right? I started charging, and I was weeding people out because I was so far booked out, at least to where I wanted to be, that I didn't want to run out to everybody and look at everything. And I was trying to manage the workflow more effectively because I didn't want to scale past where I was. I had found this comfortable spot, and so I found a way to keep it comfortable as opposed to keeping it going. You want to grow, don't put the restrictions on it. Let all that stuff come in and keep booking it out until people won't book with you anymore. And if you're 14 weeks out, well, then it's time to look to hire someone or another crew or whatever you got to do. And you got to keep that marketing going. And how do you manage people if you're the guy on the job? Well, you're going to have to hire someone trustworthy and deal with it, right? Like, what do you need to put in place to be able to trust someone? And I know Steve will probably tell you his electricians probably don't trust anyone either, because they think they're the only ones that are capable of doing it correctly. And it's just not true. Like, how are you going to grow if you can't
honestly,
trust anyone?
The challenge is how they hire. If you hire in the typical way in the floor industry, as in the electrical industry, you have about a 15% chance of getting it right without any system for hiring. I mean, once again, good stat, U.S. Department of Labor says that the average interview, now I can't speak for floor techs or electricians specific, but they claim it's a 4-minute likability test. You like them, you hire them. That's insane. Most of these people you don't know at all. In 4 minutes, you make a judgment. So no, we need a detailed assessment of the person to get your success rates with hiring up to about 70%. Now, once you do that, yes, then you can build your floor team, and you find that COO like I did, or you find a marketing person that you rely on. I mean, we have a project manager named Marco. I don't know what we would do without this guy. We have 20 projects active at any given moment, every single day, all with multiple steps. So, what would life be like for me with Marco? Guess what? Without Marco, I wouldn't be on this podcast. Mm-hmm. I'd be managing all my own freaking projects. So, the starts and stops with that peaks and valleys, which is somewhat natural if you don't know what to do. But here's the real problem with that. You're going to be exhausted. It's going to drive you into the ground because you can't keep up that pace. It's impossible. Mm-hmm. I would rather be 3 weeks out, booked solid and steady forever, than 14 weeks, 0 weeks, 12 weeks, 0 weeks. That will exhaust you. I can speak from experience. I can feel it again. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Oh no, totally. It was horrendous to live like that. I also just remember trying to scale from the beginning, right? And it was like, okay, I hit 100,000, and that was like the first year in business, and that was tough. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know that I can do anymore. And like, there was periods where I could feel the business was in this spot, but it felt like somebody had stuck a treadmill under me as I was at the peak of the mountain and I couldn't get over it, right? Like you're giving everything you have to get this business to the next level. And you're stuck on this treadmill and like you can see over the peak, but you can't get all the way over it to see all of the horizon. And you'd be like that for like a week or two. And then you would stay at that level and you were like, okay, this is cool. And you'd coast for like a month and a half. And then something else would kick into a new gear and you're like, okay, we're headed up again. And then you would get to that next little plateau and you're stuck on that peak on the treadmill again. You're just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. But you have to recognize where you're at and then step back. Electricians, I could make this analogy with too. And it's, we have really great 12-inch view of our companies, especially if you're an owner operator, because you're right there. You are in it. But when are you ever stepping back? I know like my shower guys are good. My floor guys are probably good. I don't know that electricians have to step back too often and get like that 10-foot view. We can get that view, right? We'll start looking at everything kind of as a whole. How's it laying out? How's it looking? Where are you getting your like 1,000-foot and your 10,000-foot view from? How often are you taking a moment when you get home to do that? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, for my electricians, their 1-foot rule is the windshield. Right? They're just driving to the next job. You know, as you were speaking, I recalled a funny but really sad story that I want to share with your listeners to understand how bad this can get for you. So I have 2 daughters, and they're a year apart. When they were 7 and 8, I remember taking them to the Smurf movies, you know, those little blue creatures movies, and I would sit them down, get them their popcorn, they'd watch the movie. Guys, because I was so exhausted from the peaks and valleys, I couldn't even watch the movie and interact with them. It was dark. My eyes finally shut. It was a great 2-hour nap. You don't want to be that guy. Trust me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know a lot of people can relate. They're just, okay, I have a minute to myself, even though I'm trying to do the family thing, and you don't have time for the family. And it's, if you want to stop those peaks and valleys and you want to find the time to not get stressed out by that treadmill at the peak of the mountain as you're like trying to get to this next level, you have to take the time to step back and analyze what's happening and say, okay, what do I need to put in place to manage what I'm feeling? Like, as much as we're manly men and we do
that works.
Correct. But I mean, as much as we're manly men that don't have feelings are a big part of this. And especially because most of our clients are women, like we got to kind of understand them and be in touch with them. And so figure out what's stressing you out, sit back, reflect, look at the business and feel for what is happening so that you can actually apply a system to manage the end result you're trying to get instead of having it freak you out and stress you out. You know, I learned very quickly that if I scheduled all of the material deliveries I had to do after a day of a project, like I had to rush out of a project early, drive down to the distributor, get my truck loaded up, and then get it delivered in an evening. Not only was I exhausted and felt horrible because I was cutting out early and then I had to stay later the next day to make up for that time I left, but it was ruining everything. And so I just started waiting until I was booked out a couple of weeks. I'd get the next couple of projects lined up and I would schedule a day off, and I would just, it was a delivery day, but I was getting paid for the delivery. So I was still covering overhead, but then it also gave me time. Like I just got to drive around in my truck. I lugged boxes in and out of, off the truck and into a couple different homes. I could get 2 or 3 done in a day. But it gave me a minute of downtime too. I could relax and stop. And I had time for me, which was great. Like, find a way to schedule the business so that it works for you and goes the direction you want. It's your business. Why is it stressing you out? It's stupid.
Yeah, and you'll regret it later. My daughters now are 40 and 39. I cannot tell you guys and gals how many times they've told that story when we've been at parties and stuff. It's embarrassing, right? You don't want that to happen to you. So take Kyle's advice.
Anything we haven't really hit on that you see a lot of contractors like struggle with, like just a key point that's often missed early on?
As you say that, the one that popped into my head, and I generally trust my judgment, is a lot of the people that I work with, almost all in the beginning, they have a lot of doubts and questions and worries and insecurities about whether they are a good entrepreneur, whether they deserve to have their own company. It's sometimes I'm just making it okay. I'm just saying you are smart. You're a master electrician. You know exactly what to do. You can do this. I'm building up their confidence a little bit because again, that formula of self-confidence, self-respect, and self-esteem is so important. But I'm kind of giving them permission, Kyle, that it's okay. Not only is it okay to take a risk, it's okay to fuck up. Pardon my F-bomb. I hope
You're good.
that's okay. And you just got to be you. You're not going to get this perfectly right. It's the old airline joke. The flight gets from Boston to LA, but does it go straight? No, it's all over the freaking place. So am I every day. In the last 40 minutes, I'm all over the freaking place. But if you have the underlying confidence that you're going to be fine and everything is going to work out, you'll be fine. It's really just making that decision. So it's that variable, Kyle. Where are they in their own mindset about they can do this? And then we have to use and apply the success formula to put framework around that, to give them the system they need to go forward. Then it works. So that's the thing that popped into my head.
No, I love it. I think head trash is a giant issue. I struggle with it. I got to assume that even to this day, right? Running a larger business, and I know that the parent company does more than the one company doing 1.2. I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm assuming there's a couple mil going on, and yet you're still admitting, like, I have my doubts sometimes. I have head trash. Am I doing it right? Am I good enough? Can I do that? These questions are normal, folks, but you know what? If you stick with it, as Steve said, like, get around other people, get into a group and chat with people. That's one of the things that makes the mastermind groups great around here. And in fact, they're not even just mastermind groups. I've started calling them, it's business therapy is what we do at the Floor Academy Business Therapy Mastermind groups. You need a place just to spew to someone that understands who you are, and for them to come back and be able to do the same and hold you accountable for reaching goals and things like that. But you got to get these thoughts out and then see, like, oh, I'm normal. Other people are going through this. This is okay. And no, that's not true. Like, I actually did make a good decision and my employees do respect me and I'm not crazy. If you only ever internalize that stuff, how are you getting anywhere? You're not going to. You're just going to be stuck in a rut. You're going to be pissed off and miserable. And I mean, that goes back to a question from the interview I did with Dan Welch of, would you work for you? Because if you're just a miserable prick, you're just that salty contractor that hates what they do, why do you have a business? Go work for someone. Because no one's going to want to work for you. And you can't scale if you can't have anyone do work for you. So what's the point? Why are you doing it? I don't understand.
I mean, your guests wouldn't know, Kyle, but I'm in my Vancouver home, so I'm on the West Coast. From 10 to 11 today, I was on the line with my business coach. I still have a business coach to this day, and I speak to her every Monday and every Friday for an hour at 10 o'clock, which was convenient right before we got together. So, again, I need help, so I call my coach.
No, it's a wonderful thing. And the coach you have now, I mean, in fact, yesterday I did an interview. The episode that comes out a week prior to this is about two of my friends met at a show and they didn't know each other previously, and they developed this mentor-mentee relationship that's kind of now like mentor-mentor, even though one's older and one's younger. But you have to go find these people to have these relationships with, and they don't have to stay around. And you might find a mentor that's good for this thing, and you can find another one that's good for that thing over there. And then you can have this group of friends that influences you here. But you definitely have to go and find these people to work with to keep you moving in the right direction and growing as a person and challenging you. It's definitely not going to work If you want to go hang out with the guys, I mean, what's the saying? You are the sum of the 5 or 6 people you hang out with most.
Yeah.
Go hang out with the
Yeah, I
cranky
mean,
dudes.
in my case, Kyle, my coach is female and she's 37 years old, and I'm going to be 65 in about 3 weeks. She's a diamond. She's one of the best coaches I've ever found. I scooped her up in a second and I pay her a lot because she keeps me thinking properly when
Hmm.
I still think about retirement, as I start to approach that. No, I still need to be driven. I make 22 cold calls still every single day, not because I hate it or whatever. It's like that's how I provide outreach to people. It's how I engage people, and it's how I live my vision. So I don't really look at that as cold call anymore. It's like, let's make a new friend.
Hmm.
But still, some days I don't want to do it, and I need Lola to kick me in the fanny. So, you know, how old, how young, what sex, what not, whatever, it doesn't matter. Find the right one. She's a diamond.
Definitely. It's all about, build your network for who you need in your life. Okay. It's so funny. I think a lot of contractors get intimidated by they see someone that's a step above them or a couple steps above them. They're like, oh my God, they never talk to me. I know that sadly, guys, I'm not intimidating. I am not anything special. Just because I decided to put up some recording equipment in my bedroom and start making this podcast does not make me any better than you. I say it all the time on here. I'm not God's gift to installing. I'm not that great at it. I'm proficient and I can sell it a little bit, and I made some money. But come up to me at a show, call me, reach out over Facebook, or shoot me a text. My phone number's everywhere. If you can't find my phone number online, you're doing something wrong. Okay. It's not hidden. And there's probably 2 phone numbers out there. I'm not even worried about it. Like, reach out. And I'm sure Steve has the same approach. Like, just please call me. Like, there's no reason to be intimidated, because if you're not going to get what you don't ask for. And honestly, if you go to somewhere and ask to build this relationship with them and they tell you no, it probably wasn't going to be a good fit anyways. So just move on. Like, big deal. They told you no. Clients tell you no all the time. You don't go home and cry about that. So put yourself out on the line a little bit. Go ask somebody to mentor you. They will. It doesn't matter if you're an electrician or in Steve's case, or you're a floor guy or a shower guy. In my case, if you find a guy that's running 5 donut shops doing a couple mil a year and you respect what he has going on with his employees and stuff, go talk to the donut maker and figure out what he's doing. Again, business
Yeah,
isn't
it's
that
just a system.
complicated.
It's not a donut.
Correct. Doesn't matter what you're selling.
And I think
Steve,
to add to
go ahead,
that, Kyle,
please.
you guys are lucky in the sense that, Kyle has put himself into this position. Like, I know my arena, there's 650,000 electricians in the US, which is why my headquarters is based in Bayonet Point, Florida. And I also know there are 110,000 electricians in Canada, which I have my international office in Vancouver. And Kyle is the person that's doing it for you guys. I'm sure he knows his numbers as well. So listen to what he has to say here.
I mean, I wish I knew how many. There's not enough. That's what I know. Everyone complains there's not enough labor force for us to continue. And so this is the scary part. And the electrician's probably pretty close to the same. The average age of a hardwood sand and finish guy is 51, which means that carpet and tile are probably not that far off from those numbers as well, which is really high. Those guys are close to
Yeah,
retirement.
that's up there. That's a high number.
Yeah. So we are trying to
It
solve a
should be
problem
mid
now.
30s.
Uh-huh. We're trying to figure out how to
Yeah.
recruit and get people interested right now. And part of that is you all need to start running some successful companies that make this look sexy, because there's a lot of really poorly run companies by uneducated contractors. And if you've made it this far into the episode, you're trying not to be that person. And I appreciate you more than
Yep.
you know. Thank you, because that's what's going to make the difference. We have to get past this. We have to make this sexy. We have to make this look so appealing to the next generation that they can't pass up the opportunity. And you're not going to do that without knowing how to run the business side of things. And if you don't want to, hire the person to do it. You're going to have to get big. You're going to have to struggle along until it's big enough to hire that person to do it. Steve, you got any book recommendations?
Yes, actually. I mean, I'm a avid reader, but I will tell you the mindset is everything. So I would suggest you buy a book or get the book somehow called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. It's by a gentleman named T. Harv Eker. I used to work for him. Uh, and that book will kind of get you thinking about the right mindset about millions. I do a test with some of my electrician clients and I ask them, stop me when it's a lot of money. I say $1, no. $10, no. $100, no. $1,000, 80% will stop me right there. $1,000 is not a lot of dollars. 10,000, okay, I'll accept that. For me, it's 100,000. I start thinking at 100,000. I got that mindset from the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.
See, I would say that $1 million still isn't even a lot of money these days. It's so
Yeah.
invaluable at this point. It means nothing. And it's a great point. I like that exercise to be honest, because I think you're right. A lot of people struggle to go sell like a shower for 5,000. Oh, it's a lot of money. No, it's not. It's a shower. It's supposed to last 20 years or more. Like it's an investment in your home. It's a drop in the basket. And I've struggled with some big bids. I think the biggest one I ever put together came out to like $133,000 for like 3,500 square feet of really nice hardwood flooring. And I'm sitting there looking at it. I'm debating with myself, and I was like, "Oh, my margins are right, but like that's a lot of money. Can I ask for that?" I went and looked up the value of the home. It was a $2 million home. It's 5% of the cost of the home, and I was like, "This
Right.
isn't enough money, but I'll send it as is. Like this is where my margins need to be."
Yeah.
Did I get it? No, I never heard back. But again, like from my perspective, it's in line. Flooring being 5% of the cost of a total home build out, probably not that bad in the grand scheme of things. And so seeing how these things work and lay out and what we can do with them is what's going to be important. And a lot of people freak out. Oh, $1 million is a lot of money. $1 million is
Yeah, I mean,
250,000.
yeah, I was going to say, depends on how you categorize the million. Are we talking a million revenue? If you're lucky, it's 300,000 net, or are you talking a million in your bank account? That's
Correct.
different.
Well, look, let's get your company to $1 million revenue. Okay, look, it's $250,000 a quarter, and there's 13 weeks in a quarter. So if you can sell
Yeah.
$20,000 a week, you do $1 million. Well, at least for me, on the floor side of things, because I'm selling the materials, average project was over 10K. I only need 2 floors a week. That's only 104 a year. If I would pour some money into marketing, I can easily generate that, and I just have to find the crews to do it. $1 million is not hard. On the shower side of things, even if you're not selling,
Yeah.
if you can do 5,000 a week, okay, you got to hit 4 showers a week. I get it. That seems like a lot. You got to start somewhere. Can you get to 2? Can you get to 3? Can you build it up? How do we do it? Right? $1 million is not a lot of money, folks. It's not going to be a struggle, but I
No,
love that
not in
exercise of
business.
where is your head trash about what's a lot of money? And if you think $1,000 is a lot of money, you got other problems, because how are you going to sell anything if 1,000
Things will
bucks
be
is a lot of
limiting
money?
with that mindset.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Steve, let's see. We asked about a book. I don't know. Anything we didn't hit on, we should have hit on.
Uh, if you said to me, where should your folks start,
Mm-hmm.
front end or back end? Well, you need to already know your back end, the operations piece. You deliver a quality service. I mean, if you don't do that, you're screwed. So let's not talk about that. Let's assume that's in place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then where do you begin? Marketing. It's the only place to begin. Look, if you don't know a lot about marketing, start educating yourself about marketing. And if you had the millionaire mindset, your marketing thoughts and targets would be completely different if if $1,000 is a lot of money. So I would say let's get them to start with marketing. Marketing, of course, leads to selling. You need to have some sort of technique when you get at the kitchen table
Mm-hmm.
for a renovation or in a commercial property manager site. So sales and marketing, but if you had to start somewhere, start with marketing. Get any book you can get your freaking hands on with marketing, because it's only going to help you. Read only marketing books. Read for 1 hour a day. You'll read about 30 marketing books in a year. Start there. That changed everything for me back in the day. My brother and I used to drink beers, look at each other, and go, "What the fuck is going on? Why aren't we growing? We're good people. We do good work, and we know a lot of people. Why aren't we growing? Because we weren't marketing." So,
I believe
Kyle,
it.
marketing.
I believe it. I think that's, again, look, you want some basics on it. Storytelling is going to connect with people. Go to the YouTube, get the storytelling basics for advertising. This is what we're talking about. You have to be able to build a message that people connect with. And if you're not out there with some message that they connect with, then how are you going to gain sales? Steve's not wrong. You have to have the thing that draws in. If your business is based on successful sales, you have to do the thing that generates the sales, which is
Correct.
going to be marketing.
Yeah.
So he's
And
he's not wrong.
if you go to Amazon.com, just type in the word marketing, like 5,000 books will come up. Pick the one that suits you. Start somewhere.
Pick yes, don't pick one. Go look. Your library's got
Pick
free
one.
audiobooks guaranteed. Okay, type it in over there. I guarantee there's a bunch of them.
Pick one. It sucks. Throw it out. Pick a second.
There you go. And again, I think a lot of people focus like you don't have to get everything. If you get one thing out of each hour you listen, same thing goes for these podcasts. If you can take away one different thing to just apply, and you spend a little bit of time to actually put it in your business instead of, I know what most of you do because I still do it myself. You'll learn it. You tuck it away in the back of the vault up here inside your head, and you don't do shit with it. You don't act on it. You have to
You
implement
get
it.
busy.
And I'll do it later. Or, oh, that's not for me right now.
Yeah,
Implement
that's
it.
classic on websites. People throw up a website with the intention of making it really good later, but there's no later because the success trap happens. You get busy.
Yeah. You got to spend the time to work on things and actually put them in place. So take if you can only take one thing away, you got one more than the dude down the street or the gal down the street that didn't do anything. And you're going to take them and you're going to add them up one by one. If you want to fill in a lake, you can start throwing pebbles in it. It's going to take you a long time, but you know what? You're further ahead than the person that's filling the lake next to you that hasn't started. Throw your pebbles in. It's going to get filled eventually. And maybe one day you can hire the excavator to stop dropping them in. Awesome. I think that's going to do it, man. I love it, Steve. I think it's all been great advice. I love the just marketing. This is what's going to move you forward and make your company be able to grow and scale. You have to be able to generate the leads to sell to. Where can people find you if they want to learn more?
www.electriciansgetleads.com is my basic website. They can email questions to me, Steve at electriciansgetleads.com. They can call me if they'd like on my private cell. Just please don't give it out. It's West Coast time zone based, 778-512-7756. And of course, you can find us on social media too. And, I'd be happy to help you.
Beautiful. Look, if you want some help, he can help you. Just because he works with electricians doesn't mean he can't help you. Again, you don't know who's going to be able to provide you with what, and a lot of this stuff crosses over very, very easily. You can explain a situation. I'm sure he's been through it. He'll find a way to explain it to you that it works. If you want to learn more about what Floor Academy has going on, you can go to flooracademypod.com, check out the shop, buy a shirt. It's summertime. You want a pair of sandals? I'll have the drop shipping company make up a pair of sandals. I'll get them on there. They can have a Floor Academy logo. You hang out by the pool with those, you will be the hottest thing in town, guaranteed. You want to help support the show, head over to patreon.com/Floor Academy. Even $5 a month goes a long way in helping me to continue to create the content. And again, that's $60 a year, guys and gals. If this show is not providing you with value that you can add thousands to your top line revenue and thousands to your bottom line net, we got other problems. Contact me if you're not doing that. I swear, contact me. Let's talk, because you're missing something in these episodes. So if you want to give me $60 out of that, I'd very much appreciate it, because I know the money's there if you're doing what you're supposed to do from learning here. And then the more I can focus on doing this, then maybe we get like 2 episodes a week, or, you know, it expands into something more and there's even more content for you, because that's the goal. Is I want to make the content to help you continue to grow and scale. Subscribe on YouTube. We're almost at, I checked today, I have 199. So we're almost 20% of the way there to 1,000. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, and I can monetize that bad boy. Thank you to the sponsors, and you're my marketing plan. Again, there's no money really coming in here, right? It's I still got to do floors, folks. You're my marketing plan. Subscribe, share an episode, comment on it, help the algorithm continue to push it out to people. If you're sitting in line at the supply house, tell the guy behind you or the gal behind you about it and let them know how much it's helping your business. And with that, it's time for a word from Tice. It's nearing show season again, and I want to remind you that the International Surface event is returning to Las Vegas January 24th through the 26th. Mark your calendars now, because otherwise you're not going. I know it. Floor Academy podcast listeners will have the opportunity to register for free once registration opens in September using the code Kyle. Again, it's my name. It's 4 letters, folks. Don't screw it up. Don't forget KYLE, and you're going to get that free exhibition pass. Whether you're an installer, retailer, distributor, or serve in another capacity within the industry, attending Tice is a solid resource to expand your knowledge and networking base. You can also learn about the newest and industry-leading products coming to market, stay up to date with the International Surfaces event page on Facebook, or visit intlsurfaceevent.com. Look forward to seeing you all there. I know I will be giving a couple of talks. They're not officially on the books yet, but I'm sure I will end up with a couple again. We're in talks, and it's always a good time. If you go for nothing less than the networking, just to meet folks from across the country, that's really the only reason you need to go. Learning about the products and seeing all the retailers and manufacturers and all that, it's cool. But you're missing a huge opportunity by not going and meeting someone, like Steve said. Like, we need a coach, right? You don't know who you're going to meet at this show if you don't show up, and it might be the person that changes your business. And it really could be overnight. You could have a great conversation having a drink, and it'll change everything. But that's going to do it for us this week. I appreciate you if you leave a review, because I don't have any to read. There's no 5-star review, so go leave a 5-star review, and I will read it at the end of an episode. Thank you, Steve, for your time. I appreciate your insights and sharing them with our audience, and we will catch you next week.